I sat down and I thought hard whether I should say this or not. Because the words that I am about to say, preachers all around the world shocked. You see, I created this video for unbelievers. And then I started thinking, a lot of Christians really don't even know Jesus. A lot of preachers will probably tell you that I'm wrong because they don't want this to come to the light. That they're not even able to fully explain the gospel of Jesus Christ. If I asked you to explain the gospel, you'll probably tell me it's the good news. That Jesus Christ came down from heaven to earth to die for people like me and you. True. Jesus was the Lion of Judah. He humbled himself and came down as the Lamb for people like me and you. But you're still missing a big piece. Now you can add on that Jesus took our history and gave us his destiny. But that's not even half of the gospel. Where's the rest of it? You haven't even scratched the surface. You're still in the beginning. And you can tell me that Jesus lived a righteous life, 33 years without sinning, and that is why we are righteous through him, because of the years that he lived, he did. And that may leave you grinning, but you're still not finished. The gospel is still missing the big piece. Pause this video. Take a second and answer this question. Why do you worship, love, and serve Jesus? If you're an unbeliever, you're probably saying, I don't love him, because you don't even know him. You can't even see him. You can't even hear him. You can't even touch him. But keep on watching. And believers, y'all probably saying y'all worship him because he's the God man. Because he gave his life up on a cross. Some say it was a tree that he shed his precious blood and was crucified for people like you and me. But what about Stephen? Some people call him Stephen. Years later, he was crucified upside down. Why don't y'all worship him like y'all do Jesus? You see, if you worship Jesus because he died for you, then you should worship a lot of other believers because they died for you too. You see, the gospel is bigger than Jesus dying for our sins, because many believers after Jesus died just like him. You see, some of you would say you worship Jesus for the things that you have and the things that he do. Do you? Preach the prosperity gospel knowing that only half of it is true. You see, if you love Jesus for the things that he do, the same Lord that giveth, taketh away. If he takes away your things, doesn't that mean he'll take away your love too? You see, some of you are saying you worship, serve, and love him because he first loved you. And that makes for a good song and all. But in reality, your mothers and your fathers first loved you too. So why not worship them the same way you worship him? Please, if you did not get that, rewind this and play it again. Believers, this is why you should worship Jesus. Unbelievers, this is why you should worship Jesus. You see, it's true, Jesus got up off his throne to lay on a cross for people like me and you. But what I'm about to tell you next is the true gospel. The real good news. You see, they drove the nails through his hands. The marks on his back from the whips. The spear that dug a hole in his ribs is little compared to what Jesus really did. The 5th chapter, the 21st verse of 2 Corinthians, Jesus did more than die for us. Jesus became sin. And let me tell you a little bit about God the Father and sin. He hates it. Psalms 5:4, Psalms 11:5, Psalms 45:6-7. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Hosea 9:15, Leviticus 20:23. Jesus became the very thing that God hated. Me. John 1:1 lets us know that God the Father was with God the Son from the beginning of time, with a perfect bond that was never to break. Could you even imagine having a child that never made a mistake? Can you even picture having a brother that you never argued with, that never made you mad? And if you can't, then I can. Having somebody around you for so many years that knew everything about you, that did everything that you did, that honored and respected you from the beginning. And if you understand that, then we almost finished. There's power in the blood. But what if you understood the split? What if you understood the bond that was broken because of what Jesus did? You see, when Jesus decided to die for our sins with the Father's permission, he forced their bond to split. And that is why you should worship him. Because when Jesus became sin, if you read Isaiah 53:10, it clearly says that it pleased God the Father to crush him, his only begotten Son, for our foolish sins. Matthew 27:46, and it read, Jesus cried out on the cross, my Father, why have you forsaken me? When Jesus hung on that cross, with our sins wrapped around his precious and pure skin, God the Father had to crush his only begotten Son, because at that very moment his Son became the very thing that he hated. Sin. Even though Jesus is back in heaven, sitting in his rightful place, there's thoughts of the filth that Jesus became can never be erased. Now I ask you again, why do you love, worship, and serve Jesus? Is it because he died for you? Is it because he gives you things? Is it because he first loved you? It's not about you. What about what we did to him? It's bigger than the holes in his side and hands that were open. There's no love greater than the Father and Son. However, if you could picture this perfect bond, this bond for you was broken forever. This, my friend, is the gospel of Jesus Christ.